Hello and welcome to our model airplane airbrushing tutorial. You'll need the model and airbrush of course, but you'll also need paints, thinner, a mixing cup, a toothpick, and a pipette or a straw. First you want to shake the paint very well. Get the solvent and all the pigments mixed up together. Don't skip this step. Then open the paint bottle and pour carefully into a clean cup. Try not to make a mess while you're doing this. Now shake off the excess from the bottle and wipe the extra paint away from the threads. This way it won't dry in the cover of the bottle and create difficulties opening it next time. Now if you're mixing different paint colors together, now's the time to add the extra color, the second color. So again, you want to shake that paint bottle very well. Here we're mixing blue with white to get a light blue. We're using acrylic paints, both Tamiya and Model Master. In this case, we want a one-to-one mixture of the blue to white. We're just kind of eyeballing the ratio here. If you want to get more precise, you could make marks on the outside of your paint cup. Now mix the two colors together with a clean toothpick. Spend some time doing this, get it really nice and mixed. Otherwise you'll get uneven colors on the model. So take your time and mix the paint well. Then next we're going to add the thinner to the paint mixture. So the ratio you want of paint to thinner is about 2:1 or 3:2. And again, we're just eyeballing the right amount of thinner here, but you could make marks on the outside of your paint cup. You're going to want to mix the thinner into the paint. Again with a clean toothpick. The consistency you want for airbrushing is roughly that of skim milk or 2% milk. So we'll turn the cup around a little bit so you can see that better, the consistency. You don't want it too thick or too thin. Just right about, as you can see here, is perfect. Now pour the paint thinner mixture into the airbrush cup or bottle if you're using a bottle. And then we're going to do a test spray on a piece of scrap plastic or paper. Just make a couple passes with the airbrush. Here we're testing at 20 psi. And what we're going for is a nice wide pattern, approximately 1/2 to 3/4 inch wide, since we're covering a large model area. And looking for a nice even color and nice flow from the airbrush. So if you're not getting results like this when you do your test spray, consult the manufacturer's recommendations for the airbrush. You may want to increase or decrease the airflow or the paint flow. And now you're ready to spray the model itself. You like to start with the bottom of the model, and you want to start the spray off the end of the model like you see here, and then onto the model, and keep the paint flowing and the airbrush moving smoothly back and forth just like this. It helps to go in one direction. You like to go in the direction of the airflow over the airplane, so from front to back just like you see. And now we're just applying a light mist coat. So we're not trying to achieve 100% solid coverage in this first coat of paint. The idea is just to put down a light coat, and there will be a second coat after this that will make really solid. So the goal of this first coat is just to wet the surface and to provide something for the next coat of paint to stick to. So keep the airbrush moving. Don't keep it in any one place for too long, just like you see here. And that looks just about right for the first light coat. So we're going to set that down and let that dry for maybe... Okay, so the mist coat has had a chance to dry, and now we're going to apply a wet coat. So again, very similar technique. Start the spray off the model. And in this case, we're going for a more solid, complete coverage of color. We're going to move the airbrush a little bit more slowly and allow the paint to go down a little bit heavier. So for the wet coat, what you'll see is a slight shininess to the coat. You don't want to stop the airbrush and have it pool in any one location, but just move slowly enough to give a little sheen, like you can see here. So keep it moving back and forth, front to back of the model. And we'll lay down quite a bit more paint this time than we did for the original first coat. So you can see a little bit of shininess there on the underside of the nose and on the wings. That's just about what you want to see. And just keep everything moving slowly, smoothly. And that's just about right for the wet coat. Pretty solid coverage there. So we'll let that dry again for about 20 minutes. Okay, now that the bottom of the model is dry, we're ready to tackle the top. So again, similar technique, start the spray off the model. And again, we're going to do this in two coats. So this is the first light mist coat. And just moving back to front along the model. And we're not going for 100% solid cover, just a light coat. So we're going to start doing the very top surfaces of the model, the large areas like the wing, the horizontal tail, and the fuselage. And then we'll tackle the sides of the model, the sides of the fuselage, and just kind of blend them in to the spray that was already there from doing the bottom. So again, this is just a light mist coat, so don't go too heavy. And maybe a little bit more on this left wing. And by now you should have the hang of the technique, so we'll speed this up a little bit for you. Okay, so the mist coat on the top has had a chance to dry, and now we're going to apply a wet coat. So by now you should be an expert on the technique. Start to spray off the model. I'm going to move a little bit slower and be closer to the model since this is a wet coat. And just like we did on the bottom of the model, we'll look for a slight shininess to the paint so we know it's wet, but not so wet that it starts to pool in any place or starts to have runs or drips. Keep it moving, and you can see the sheen starting to come up there on the left wing. And we'll just do more of the same, cover the entire model. We're looking for a solid coat here, solid color. And that just about does it. So you're going to want to have this dry for 20 minutes to an hour for these acrylic paints. And at the end, you'll end up with a perfectly smooth airbrush paint job. This model has raised panel lines, and you can still see all the detail of the panel lines through the paint job, and that's what you're after. And that's it. We hope that you enjoyed our model airplane airbrushing tutorial. If you have any questions, contact us through our website.